Edward Partridge was born August 27, 1793 in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, the son of William and Jemima Bidwell Partridge. He came from a lineage of such prominent men and ministers in the Connecticut River Valley that they were called the River Gods. Edward learned the trade of a hatter and in 1817 set up operations in Painesville, Ohio, where he became quite well-to-do and comfortable. In 1819, he married Lydia Clisbee, and together they had 7 children. In 1830, Edward was introduced to the restored gospel of Jesus Christ. He was at first skeptical, but after he journeyed east from Ohio to New York and met the prophet Joseph Smith, he was ready to be baptized. He was baptized December 11, 1830 in Seneca Lake, New York. On February 1, 1831, Edward returned to his family in Ohio, the prophet Joseph evidently traveling with him. Then, February 4, 1831, there came a startling revelation that would forever change Edward's life. He was called as the first bishop in this dispensation. In June 1831, Edward was ordained a high priest and commanded to journey to Missouri with the prophet Joseph Smith. Edward left his family behind, including one daughter who was so ill he did not expect to see her again. Yet, he went, and Lydia supported him. Such would typify the rest of their days, always answering the call. The brethren arrived in Missouri, and once there, the Lord gave a revelation that all the ancients back to Enoch had looked forward to with anticipation: the location of Zion in the latter days. Enoch, after much labor, had built a city of kings and queens, priests and priestesses, a holy place and people where God came to dwell. Enoch and his people were taken from the earth, awaiting a time, place, and people worthy and prepared that they might return. And now, the Lord had at last identified the place where Zion would arise again. And Edward Partridge was called to buy the land, build the city with its holy temples, and prepare a consecrated people to welcome the Savior and Enoch and his city. But the people would not have Zion in their county, or more importantly, in their hearts. And by October and November of 1833, the Latter-day Saints were driven out of Jackson County, Missouri. Bishop Partridge now presided over and ministered to scattered exiles and suffering refugees. In 1836, the church settled in northern Missouri and began to build up Zion there. Edward was there, still working. In 1838, when the church was driven out of Missouri by the governor's extermination order, Edward Partridge assisted the exiles again. Where the church went, Edward and Lydia went also, faithfully. Until finally, May 27th, 1840, still working, Edward Partridge passed away from the effects of mobbings and persecution. Edward Partridge began as a wealthy man and died poor at the age of 46, having wasted and worn out his life in the building up of Zion. Therefore, the next time you sing or read these inspired words, let Zion in her beauty rise. Her light begins to shine. Ere long her King will rend the skies, majestic and divine. The gospel spreading through the land, a people to prepare, to meet the Lord and Enoch's band, triumphant in the air. Ye heralds sound the golden trump, to earth's remotest bound. Go spread the news from pole to pole in all the nations round. that Jesus in the clouds above, with hosts of angels too, will soon appear his saints to save, his enemies subdue. That glorious rest will then commence, which prophets did foretell, when saints will reign with Christ on earth and in his presence dwell. 1,000 years, O glorious day, dear Lord, prepare my heart to stand with thee on Zion's mount and never more depart. End of quote. As you sing those words, remember the man who penned them and all that he gave for the establishment of Zion. Edward Partridge. O Lord, help us do the same.